In today's video, wait a second, this lighting's off. That's a little better. In today's video, wait, something's still wrong. That's a little better. In today's video, wait, one more touch. That's better. In today's video, we're designing a training plan. What's up YouTube? Welcome to the video. My name is Tyler, also known as the Fit Chemist, and I help people take control of their lives by taking control of their fitness and nutrition habits so that ultimately we can lead healthier and happier lives. So if you are new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Turn those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post new videos. And if you are returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here. As you can see, we are in a new YouTube studio. So I filmed the first 5 videos of this series over Christmas break, all on the same day actually. I don't know if you could tell, but I did that over Christmas break, but I'm now back in Boston, which means I need to write myself a training program. So in today's video, what I figured I would do is show you how to implement all the stuff we learned from the first 5 videos, and I'll go through a step-by-step guide on how I actually write a training program. So with that, I'm gonna hop over to my computer in the living room and we're gonna start this process. Let's get into it. Okay, I'm now in the living room on my computer. So you can see we are on my website. I'm gonna go to the services tab. If we scroll down, get a little pop-up. So if you want 5 free days of coaching, go ahead and check that out. Got a 5-day challenge in there. Got a couple of free downloads here, nutrition calculating spreadsheet and calorie tracking spreadsheet. So go ahead and check those out. Those are also linked down in the description box. But what we're really interested in is the program design form. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this. So I use this with my clients, whether they're going to be a 16-week coaching person or if I'm just designing a program form for them. This gives me all the insights that I need to know on how I can best design a program for them. I went through this and basically just answered the questions like I was a fake client, so we can just go ahead and look at my answers. So one of the things I said very early on in this series is you have to ask yourself, how many days are you going to 100% commit to working out? As you can see, I've got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday selected. So I've been running this split for the last 6 months or so, and I found that it's great for me because Sunday is grocery shopping, meal prep, and laundry, so no time to go to the gym then. And I found that Wednesday and Saturday mornings are when I'm most productive. I can use that time to work on my business and YouTube videos just like this one. So I'm gonna stick with that 4-day split. You can see that I've selected, I want my workouts to be somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes. I think anything over that, I'm just not going to have enough time. I'm going to be getting in lab late. Don't want to be doing that. So I've also selected that I want an upper lower split. So that's also something I've been running for the last couple months, and I really enjoy that. I think it just gives me proper time, proper recovery in between workouts. So I hit leg days on Tuesdays and Fridays. So I found that, that's like 48 hours in between workouts. It's enough time to recover. I'm not hammering the legs every day. Something else you should ask for your clients are, what are your goals for the program? So I just put, NA in here because obviously I know what my goals are. You also want to ask what gym equipment they have access to. So if you're writing this program for yourself, of course but if you're writing it for a client, obviously you need to know what they have access to. Maybe right now, because of COVID, they only have resistance bands and light dumbbells. Maybe they're in a gym, but half of it's sectioned off and they don't have access to squat racks or something like that. So that's what I have in here. The more details, the better, because the more you know about their gym and their circumstances, the better you can write a program for them. Next thing we want to look at, we talked about in the exercise selection video. So I went through the last couple of weeks. I've just been doing freelance workouts, and what I did is anytime I did a lift that I really liked and I knew I wanted to incorporate in this plan, I put this down, I made a note. So now I sort of have like a bunch of exercises that I know I want to put into this program. So in a second, I'll switch over to my iPad, and then what I'm going to do is just fill out the template with these exercises and then fill in the holes from there. Most clients will have certain exercises they like doing. So again, we want to make something that is enjoyable for them. So that's a great question to ask. We've also got any body parts you want to bring up. So, some clients will say they want bigger glutes, or they want bigger chest, they want to get bigger arms, whatever it may be. So for me, I want to increase my chest size, middle back, and then also my quads. So hence that's why I've got front squat up here. And then for like any movements that I want to increase strength in, I put bench, front squat, and conventional deadlift. So basically the big 3 with a front squat instead of a back squat. So what I'm going to do is actually hop over to my iPad instead of this computer screen recording, and I will show you how I go about designing this program using the information from this questionnaire. Okay, so I'm now on my iPad, and as you can see, I essentially took the information from that questionnaire, and now I just jotted down the quick summary. So I want a 4-day upper lower split, 60 to 90 minutes, and then I just transferred all the exercises that I put in the questionnaire. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just start filling this out. You can see I have like a template set up here. So over here on the right, I have my total number of sets, because remember the recommendations are somewhere between 10 and 20. So I'll go ahead and I'll total those up at the end and just make sure I'm within those recommendations. And then what I also did was I just put the template for the program itself. So you can see we've got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, which is exactly what I answered in the questionnaire. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and fill this in and just sort of explain my thought process along the way. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, but let's get into it. So I'm starting with bench. I want that twice per week. So what I'm going to first do is just put in all of my exercises, the ones that I know I want to include. I know that episode 2 of this series was periodization and progression, which that is obviously more important than exercise selection. In terms of writing the plan, I think it's a little bit easier to first include the exercise and then go back and do the periodization. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So we know that Monday and Thursday, those are going to be our upper body days. So I'm going to put bench for both of those. What I'll probably end up doing is having like Monday be a lighter day and then Thursday be a little bit of a heavier day. So change the rep ranges there, but we'll come back to that later. So we've got bench is checked off. So we want chest supported dumbbell row. So we'll just put that on Monday. Okay, let's see. We can go front squats on day 2. And then I want deadlifts on day 4. Okay, so that takes care of this one. We got front squat, and then we also got conventional deadlifts. Okay, so since on Monday we have our chest supported dumbbell row, which is a horizontal pull movement, what I'm going to do is put chin-ups on day 3. Because that is a vertical pull movement. So remember, we want at least one of those per week. So we can go ahead and cross that one off the list. Let's see. We can put seated dumbbell raise. Oops. So we've got this one. So I want to include rear delt flies. And since I'm hitting a seated dumbbell raise Monday, I think I'm going to tentatively put that on Monday as well. Just get a little bit of shoulder volume in there. Okay, so that's going. Let's see. I think what I'm going to do is put hip thrusts here. Do I have that listed up here? I don't think I wrote it down here, but it was in the questionnaire. So for day 2, we've got our squat pattern with the front squat, and then we got hip thrust, which is a hip hinge movement. Deadlifts, we have a hip hinge movement, and then what I'm going to do is put a squat pattern. So that's where I'm going to include the Smith machine split squat. Okay, so we can cross that off. We've got, let's see, that's most of it right now. So then, okay, so then we need one leg extension. So what I'm gonna do is put that one on this front squat day. So we'll go okay, and then the last thing we need are dips. So I'm gonna put that on day 3. Something else that you can take into consideration is like machine availability and how easy it will be to actually do the program. So so once I'm done benching, if I go over to a pull-up station that has the dips on it, I can hit dips and chin-ups back to back, because remember, that's an example of antagonist paired sets. You don't have to do that, but you're also just using the same machine. So if you're already using it for dips, nobody's going to take it, and you can just do the chin-ups without worrying about that machine being taken. So I think that covers most of what we want. So let's see. Yeah, I think we've got all the exercises that we said, so now we just need to look at the program, see what's missing, and sort of fill in those holes. So we've got most of what we need in here. Taking a look at this, we definitely need to include some arm exercises. Something else that I noticed is that we don't have a vertical push movement. So what I'm going to do on Thursday is go ahead and put in a seated military press. So that looks good to me. We got bench and then dips. So we got some chest movements, chin ups that'll hit back, and then we've got shoulder movement. So then we just sort of need arms on that day. Same thing with Monday. So we got bench, chest supported dumbbell row, seated dumbbell raise, rear delt flies. So all we need to do is hit arms on those days. So we can just sort of move all of these exercises up. Cleaned it up a little bit. Something I noticed while doing that is that on Friday, we only have 2 leg exercises. We also included an accessory movement on Tuesday. So we got 1 leg extension. So what I'm going to do here, just put a hamstring curl. We'll see if I actually end up sticking with that, because my last program I was doing hamstring curls, so I might change it up, maybe do like a rope pull through or something, but we'll see how that workout ends up going. So from there, what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to include some calf movements on the leg days because we need to hit calves. Last one, I wasn't really focusing on that, and now I'm going from sort of strength to bodybuilding style workouts, and can't neglect the calves for that long. So what I'm going to do on Tuesday is we'll say leg press calves, because what you want, or I guess what I would recommend doing, is having something that's like a standing calf raise variant. So a leg press calves, barbell calf raise, something on the Smith machine, something where you're sort of in a standing position. And then I'd also recommend doing one variation of like a seated calf raise. So a lot of them will have like plate loaded calf raises and stuff like that. So that's actually what I'm going to put on day 4. So we'll put seated calf raise. So that's looking good so far. You guys might be thinking, Tyler, why do you only have 3 exercises besides calves on your leg days? As you'll see, once we start putting in some sets, it'll actually total up quite quickly to our total number of sets per week. And again, you just want to use the minimum amount of sets to progress. We don't need 5 to 10 exercises on here to grow or to progress. We want to do the bare minimum. So we'll see once we put in the sets there. But what I'm going to do now is go ahead and add in the arm workouts. Something I've been doing lately is a seated incline dumbbell curl. So let's see if I want to put that on day 1 or 3. I think what I'm going to do is put that on day 3, just because I'm going to be doing a seated military press. If I've already got a bench, I'm just going to stay on that bench. So let's do seated. Okay, and then maybe we can do something like a skull crusher to accompany that. So again, another example of antagonist paired sets. What I typically do is hit biceps and triceps back to back. That way it just saves me some time at the end of my workout, get a nice little arm pump, and then I'm out of the gym and on my way to lab. So then I have some freedom here. What am I gonna choose for day 1 arm exercise? Maybe a preacher curl. I haven't done that in a while. My last program I was doing an easy bar curl, so I just wanna change it up. So we'll do a preacher curl, and then what can we do from there? Maybe like a rope push down or something. So again, that's subject to change, we'll see, but it looks like we're starting to get our program filled out here. The last thing that I want to do is add some ab exercises. So I recommend doing ab exercises that are weighted rather than just doing body weight stuff, because I think it's a little bit easier to do periodization and progressive overload with weighted exercises. So if you're doing a body weight, all you can really do is add reps, which eventually you're going to start doing 40, 50 rep sets, and you don't really want to be doing that. It's just going to take up a lot of time, and I think it's better to do weighted stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is put a cable crunch on Tuesday, and then that's going to hit our upper abs. So then we probably want something that's lower abs. So maybe we can do like a weighted leg raise or weighted reverse crunch. Let's do a weighted leg raise on that machine. So we can do okay, so got those 2 ab exercises. Front squat should definitely hit the abs a little bit. You gotta brace to keep the weight on your shoulders. So that takes care of our upper abs and lower abs. I might add in an oblique movement. We'll see how these end up being time-wise. But I think we've pretty much covered everything that we need to as far as putting the exercise selection in. So then we can go ahead and start adding some sets and rep ranges. Since I'm doing bench twice per week, what I think I'm gonna do here is a lighter, higher volume day. So we'll say 4 to maybe 8 to 10. And then if we come over to bench on Thursday, we can say, let's go 3 by 4 to 6. So that way we sort of have a little bit of a strength day, right? Remember, if we're going to do hypertrophy, we want majority of our rep ranges to be in between 6 and 20. Strength is going to be 1 to 6. So, we have a hypertrophy day and a strength day for bench. Chest supported dumbbell row, probably go 4 on that for now. And then we can maybe throw that in like an 8 to 12 rep range. Seated dumbbell raise, we'll go 3 and 3 here. So I'm going 3 on each because I'm doing both lateral raise and a rear delt fly, so I don't want to be doing too much shoulder volume on that day. So we can say maybe 10 to 15 on the rear delt fly, and then for seated dumbbell raise we can do 3 by, we'll say like 8 to 12 again. I think that's a good range. And then preacher curl, so I'm probably going to hit 4 sets of arms just because it's been a while since I've really targeted the arms, and beach body season is right around the corner. So we'll do 4 by maybe, we'll say 8 to 12 on this one. We'll see. I might end up going a little higher, maybe 10 to 15, but we'll feel that out once we start putting this plan into action. So front squat, I've been doing this exercise recently, and I think what I'm going to do is stay maybe the 8 to 10 range, just because if I go over, I feel like it's pretty hard to brace, and it becomes more of like a breathing exercise than it does for your quads. So I don't want to do too many reps. Hip thrusts, I think we're also going to be in that range. So we'll say 3 by, we'll go 8 to 12. One leg extension, I think I'm going to do that as 4. One leg extension, we'll do 4 by 8 to 12 for that as well. Leg press calves, we'll hit 4 sets, and then let's do 3 sets of cable crunches because we're going to be getting some ab activation from the front squat itself. So leg press calves, maybe we can go 10 to 15 range. Just feel that out. And then cable crunch, we'll say 10 to 12 on that. Okay, so then we can move over to day 3. So we've already got 3 by 4 to 6. Dips, we can probably go 3 again, just because now if we look at Monday, we've got 4 sets there. Bench and dips, that's going to put us at a total of 10 sets. So we'll look at the total sets at the end, total them all up and see if we need to make any changes. But I think 3 of each that day will be good. We can maybe do 4 sets of chin-ups. Seated military press, probably stick with 3 again, and then we'll hit 4 sets of each of these. So we can go ahead and put in our rep ranges. Dips, I'll probably go 8 to 12. Chin-ups, we'll say 6 to 8. So maybe I'll start doing some weighted chin-ups and make that more of a strength type exercise. We'll see. Seated military press, that's probably going to be, we'll say 6 to 10 range. Seated dumbbell incline curls, so we'll probably put these as 8 to 12 as well. I think that's a good rep range for arms. You can see that's what I have on Monday as well. All right, deadlifts, let's see here. I think we can do 3. Smith machine split squat, so let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and put 3 for these as well, and then we can come back and look at the total number of sets per week. Calves will probably do 4 here, and then we can do 3 sets of abs. That's what we got on Tuesday as well. So we'll put that as 10 to 12 that we had. Yeah, so we'll just stick with that. Seated calf raise, we can probably throw that into the 10 to 15 range again. Actually, what do we have on Tuesday? We got 10 to 15, so maybe we can go a little heavier on that. Let's go 8 to 10. Obviously not the end of the world. It doesn't really matter that much, but we'll see. Hamstring curl, we'll say 8 to 12 on this one. And then deadlifts, we'll probably throw that into the 4 by 6 range again, just sort of get another strength day in there, or a strength type movement. And then the last one we need to assign is Smith machine split squat. So then maybe we can just hit that as like 8 to 10. So we can go ahead and total up the number of sets. I'll do that in a second, but I just want to put one comment in here. I talked about in the rest periods that you should start with higher rest periods or longer rest periods towards the beginning of your workout. So you can see the way that I've structured this is that I have a compound or 2 compound movements at the beginning of a lift, and then from there I move on to accessories and less important stuff. So as we go down through this workout, let's look at day 2 as an example. I might have a rest period for front squat of like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, then 2 minutes for hip thrust, then a minute 30 for leg extensions, and then maybe a minute 30 for calves and a minute 15 for abs, something like that. I mean, again, rest period is at the top of the pyramid. It's not that important, but for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to go through and actually assign a rest period to each of these workouts. So I went through, totaled up the number of sets. So as you can see, remember one thing I mentioned in this series is that we definitely want to consider muscle overlap and crossover. So for chest right now, I've got 10 sets, which that's on the lower side of these recommendations. Back, we've got 8 sets of just purely back movements, but you can see I have +6 if we're counting conventional deadlifts and front squat, which are going to be activating, your traps and lats. So that'll put it at 14, which I think is probably good. We can keep that there. I think chest is a little low, so we might have to make an adjustment. Total sets of arms, so it's technically 16, or we have 8 for each bicep and tricep, so I think that's a good amount. You're going to have some overlap with things like chin-ups. You're going to be hitting the biceps and whatnot. So I think having 8 of each per week would be good. That might even be a little bit too much, but we'll see how we're doing in recovery. We then have shoulders, and this one was interesting because I have 9 sets of shoulders. So I have a movement for each of them. I'm doing overhead press, seated military press, which is basically front delts and a little bit of side delts. And then I have rear delt fly and seated dumbbell raise. So I'm hitting all 3 of those heads. But I also note here that's +9 sets for bench plus dips. So you're going to be hitting your front delts in both of those. So I think what I'm going to do, since chest is so low, is I'm actually going to get rid of my seated military press. And I'll probably throw in a chest movement here instead. So maybe something like a chest fly. We can do that as like a 4x, we'll say 8 to 12, maybe 10 to 12, something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this down to 6, and then bump our total chest movements up to 14. So that's looking a little bit better, right? Chest and back are both at 14, arms are at 8 each, shoulders are at 6, but then we also have some of that crossover for bench and dips. So the 6 sets are just going to be the seated lateral raise, so that's going to be hitting our side delt, and then I want to do rear delt flies, so there's not going to be too much crossover for those movements with the bench and dips, so I think that'll be good shoulder volume. Legs, we total that up to 19, so that's on the higher side of volume, right? So that's why I said earlier we only want a couple of leg exercises. If I threw in 5 to 6 leg exercises, I would be doing like 2 sets of each to stay within these recommendations. So from there, we have 6 sets of abs, which again, you have +3 from front squat, so almost 10. I'm not super concerned with abs. That's something that's revealed in the kitchen, but doing ab exercises does help. And then I have 8 sets of calves total. There's going to be some overlap in some of the other leg movements. So all in all, I think this is looking pretty good. And what I'll say is if you are a beginner, you would probably stop here. You have these rep ranges, you know how to assign rest periods, and then what you'd want to do is go into the gym, hit these rep ranges, and then each week either try to get extra reps or try to get extra weight on the bar, maybe adding 2.5 to 5 pounds each week, and you're going to be golden. You're going to be good to go for that program. If you're intermediate to advanced, what you then need to do is take your compound movements. So I'm going to take the first movement of each of these days, and then I'm just going to go through and write the periodization schedule for that. So I'm going to follow something similar to what I did in episode 2 when I was talking about periodization, but instead of doing a 13-week program, I'm going to do a 12 program here. So I'll probably do 6 weeks of hypertrophy, 1 deload on week 7, 4 weeks of strength, so that puts us at 11, and then the 12th week I'll either just do another strength week or a max testing week. I'll see how I'm feeling. Not really sure at this point, so I'm going to go ahead, write that down here, and then we can start adding some of those values. Okay, so I've got the exercises, and then I've got weeks 1 through 12 here. So we'll just put a little box for week 7 because we know that that's going to be a deload. I guess we're just going to put a line there. Doesn't want to make a box. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do for weeks 1 through 6 is rather than just doing like a linear periodization, I'll probably do undulating, but I think what I might do is split it up into 2 3-week blocks. Maybe go 80 to 85 to 90, and then maybe 85 to 90 to 95, but that'll start putting me in the strength range. So I'll play around with that and see what we end up coming up with for each of these. And then so weeks 8 through 11, again, those are going to be strength weeks, and then set 12. Then week 12, again, I don't know if I'll just continue with another strength week or do a max testing, but either way, we'll find out. So I'm going to go through and just basically write in all the values here, and then I'll just talk about what I did at the end. Okay, so I went through and did the periodization for my 2 bench days. I'm just going to explain my thought process now because I think it's going to get kind of cluttered once I go ahead and put in front squat and deadlift. So again, the first bench day is going to be a higher volume, like hypertrophy type day, so more reps. And then the second bench day is going to be more strength. So what you can see is I have on Monday all RPE 8, and then on Thursday I've got all RPE 9. So, you know, not quite trained to failure, but close enough. And then what I have here is like 2 sort of mini linear progressions. So you can see for weeks 1 to 3, I'm going from 70 to 75 to 80% of my 1 rep max. And then from 80 to 85 to 90 on my Thursday strength day, and I'm just going to repeat that process twice. The reason for that is I was going through and calculating some of my numbers. For bench, I want to be around like 185 to 210 for my hypertrophy day because I know I can fall into that rep range. And then for my bench day, that's going to be somewhere between 210 and 245 to fall into that rep range as well. So I think that's probably a good way to go about doing it, is to sort of like kind of calculate and make sure you're going to be falling in that rep range. If it's not, you know, not the end of the world, you can either adjust your periodization so that you do fall in the rep range, or just change your rep ranges in the program. You can see week 7 is a deload, and then weeks 8 through 11, those are going to be our strength weeks. So for day 1, I'm just going to alternate between 75 and 85%. And I've got like a 15% difference between day 1 and day 2. So you can see for week 8, I'm going from 75% on day 1, and then day 3 of that week will be 90%. So again, 15% difference. And that day 3 of that week. So that particular block here, this is going to be like my big strength block, right? I'm going to be working at 90% to 95% of my 1 rep max, going to be training 1 rep shy of failure. I'll probably end up doing a couple RPE 9.5s if I had to guess, so like pretty close to failure on that particular set. But I think this looks good as far as periodization goes. I'll have to auto-regulate and see again if I'm falling into those rep ranges, but I'm going to go ahead and fill out the front squat and deadlift, and then I will talk about that as well. Alright, so I filled out the periodization for front squat and deadlifts. So for front squat, you can see I'm just going to alternate between 70 and 75% RPE 8. So what I did was I plugged in my 1 rep max, or I found it predicted on a website, and it listed, you know, what the various percentages are and what the weight for that percentage would be. So I looked at that, saw about what weight I know I want to be at to fall in the rep range. So I put 70 and 75% because I know that I should be able to hit that in this 8 to 10 rep range. So that's how I went about figuring out what percentages I want to be doing. And then once we transition over to the strength blocks of that, we're going to go from 70 and 75% up to 80 and 85%. So something that I'll probably do is once we get to that strength block, what I'll end up doing is maybe slashing the number of sets on leg extension, maybe 1 off of hip thrust. So I'm probably not going to change the volume for the compound movement itself. But again, remember, once we go from a hypertrophy block to a strength block, so we do want to reduce some volume, but like I said, we'll probably be doing that from some of the other exercises, and I'll keep the number of sets per compound movement the same once we move to the strength block. And then for deadlift, again, the same thing I did. I just went and found a 1 rep max calculator and found what the different percentages were, found about what weight I want to be lifting to fall into that rep range. So I ended up coming up with 75%, 80, 85%. So what I'm doing here is just, again, sort of a 3-week like linear periodization, and then just dropping back down to 75% and doing another 3-week linear periodization. And then once we get to the strength blocks of that, what we're going to be doing is just a weekly undulating. So from 90 to 95, 90 back to 95%. But all in all, I think this looks pretty good, and that's going to wrap up this series. So now you have everything you need to know. I'm showing you a step-by-step guide of how to actually write the program. So hopefully now you can start writing programs for yourself or for clients. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you are new here, be sure to subscribe. Turn those notification bells on because I post new videos every single Friday. You do not want to miss when they go live. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.